Good evening, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, and remember the 5th of November. Suella Braverman was on a podcast with Andrew Gold recently called Heretics, and she started discussing the fact that she's not English. We've got the Home Secretary, proud daughter of Kashmir, Shabana Mahmood, saying that she's English, she's just as English as me. We'll get onto that later, but I'm not English either. That's not true. And Suella Braverman, who's also a citizen of the United Kingdom, who came over from Dominion or Empire states after 1948, when the British nationality came in and gave all Empire citizens the right to come to the UK. They've got very different stances. You've got Shabana Mahmood, and she tries to appropriate an identity that's not hers. And then you've got Suella Braverman, who says that she's not English, she'll never be English, and she's essentially calling out Shabana Mahmood for trying to appropriate something that's not hers to take. So we're going to watch this clip, and then we'll get into the nuance of the debate later in the video as well. So thank you for watching.
Screen that I think is quite interesting about Englishness, because you were saying, well, what were you saying about on that debate?
Yeah, well, I think in recent months there's been a little bit of a pretty online debate about what it is to be English, and I don't know what prompted me now to comment on it, but I'm very clear about my identity, my ethnicity and my nationality. I would consider myself to be British Asian.
That's a intellectually honest answer. I've always liked Suella Braverman because she doesn't beat around the bush and she gives honest answers. She's a British Asian, she's not English, she's very clear about that, and I don't think anyone can disagree, unless you're on the left. Shabana Mahmood should probably differ, but Englishness is a ethnicity, but it's more complex, and we'll get into that later in the video.
I was born in England, I've been schooled in England, I love England, I support the England football team, but I would never describe myself as English. To me, there is something precious about that element of identity, and Englishness is something to do with heritage, it's something to do with ancestry. It's something to do with ethnicity, dare I say. My parents were not born in England. My grandparents were not born in England.
So Suella Braverman and Shabana Mahmood, they're in the same boat. Due to the 1948 British Nationality Act, people from the former Empire and Dominions can emigrate to the mother country, and they can get British citizenship by birth. Even Cammy Badenoch's in the same boat there. And the problem that created is it lumped everybody coming over from former Empire nations in the same boat with the native British indigenous people. I've always said I am British, not English. I am of these islands. I can trace my ancestry back hundreds, if not hundreds of years to these islands. I'm not purely English. My surname is Davis. That is of Welsh origin. My grandfather is from North Wales. Alright, I've got my Welsh tie on today, so I'm being patriotic, and I've got my Welsh flag in the background as well. I am British, not English. And if we go further back, my great-grandparents on my mother's side emigrated to the mainland from Ireland before the partition, before Ireland left the UK and partitioned the island of Ireland. So my mother's maiden name is Devine, which is of Irish derivation, and my dad's surname is Davis, of Welsh derivation. I'm a mongrel of the British Islands, alright? So I cannot honestly say I am English, because that's not true. I was born in England, but I've got a laid, faceted identity from Cheshire, north of England, live in England, of Welsh and Irish descent, so there's a laid identity there. The thing is, and the issue that I've got with the British Nationality Act 1948 is, it essentially puts people like Suella, who I've got a lot of time for, and Shabana Mahmood, who I've got no time for, in the same boat as me, because they are British nationals, just like I am. I've got an issue with that, because when we go into the video in a minute or two, when they try to pin down what Englishness is. There is a point there, and we're going to look at that point in a moment or two. But it's complicated, is what I'll say. It's complicated.
And for that reason, I would never consider myself to be English. I think there needs to be a lineage that connects me to the English people, which isn't there. So I don't see that as a bad thing. It's just that I'm different. So I'm
Exactly. It's not a bad thing. The only people that have an issue with it are people on the left, and they'll scream at you that you're racist because you're noticing a difference. I notice that Suella's complexion is different to mine. That's not racism in of itself. She herself says that she's British Asian. She has no problem with that, alright? When you have the Home Secretary saying she's a daughter of Kashmir, is it wrong for me to question her loyalty? How can she be loyal to Britain above and all everything else if she's a daughter of Kashmir? That's the difference between myself and people like Shabana Mahmood. Alright? I've got no other country to go to. When this goes tits up in the UK, alright, I've got nowhere else I can go to. She can always go back to Pakistan if she wanted to. I'm not saying deport her. When it goes tits up, she may self-deport. That's another matter. A lot of immigrants that came to Britain may self-deport. However, some people, the native population of these islands, don't have that option.
British Asian. I'm proud to be British. I have a British passport, and my nationality is proudly British. But I also recognise my Asian heritage. My mum is from Mauritius. My dad is from Kenya. They grew up under the British Empire, actually. But they have, they've given me a different aspect to my identity. So I don't think I can call myself English. And
Well, I'm in the same boat. I don't think I can call myself English either. This is the issue. This is the clusterfuck we've got into. All right, because Suella, Shabana Mahmood, Anna Humza Yusuf, for example, and Anna Sarwar, we're all in the same boat. And this is the complication. I can't say I'm English, so you can't pin down English ethnicity to a particular point, because we've integrated and we've intermarried and interbred within the British Isles to such a degree that I would say if you're looking or trying to get into pinpoint the pure English derivation of a people, you get into really dark territory there. That's just my point.
Via the English people. I love English culture, English history, England, but just because I was born in England, I don't think that's enough to make me English.
And that's what a lot of people are saying at the moment. They say there's no magic soil that can make you an English person from being there. I guess where I never thought about this. I'm 36 now. I suppose in 35 years of being in England and always considering myself to be English, that many people would not consider me to be English. And I don't think I'd thought about what English meant, because I just thought of it as a nationality that was almost synonymous, apart from it being a part of, with British. Like, my nationality is British, but it might also be English. But I suppose English is not a nationality, is it?
No, not really. So British, we're British as nationality. We have British passports. We don't have English passports.
But it's a country.
It's England. A country.
Britain is a country of countries. That's the way that the government website actually asserts it, and that's the official policy, or the way that the British state label it, is a country of countries. The Act of Union 1707 says something specific and something very different. Just because they are separate jurisdictions, both in Scotland and England and Wales, there's two separate jurisdictions there. That doesn't mean they're separate countries. It means you've got two jurisdictions. You've got 50 jurisdictions in America, 50 different legal systems. That doesn't make them all separate countries. So that's the thing. We're all British in the United Kingdom. That's not an opinion. That's a matter of constitutional fact and law, which is why I've always said I'm British. Plus the fact, obviously, the genetic side of it is I've got Welsh and Irish descent. So the only honest answer I can give is I am British, not English, and that's just matter of fact in my particular view. Now, after the video, comment below and you let me know if you think I'm right. Am I reaching for the stars with that point of view? Not really, I don't think so.
Yeah, it is a country, but look at other countries, and I think what divides people on this debate is how you're conservative, I guess you want to be about. I take quite a reverential, deferential view of ethnicity and nationality, of Englishness. I do think you need a bit more than a geographical location to call yourself English. Just because I was born here doesn't make me English. Likewise, if I had been born in Italy, I don't think I'd be able to call myself Italian. If I'd been, and actually, according to other countries' laws, that is the case. Japan, for example, has has laws which are very consistent with what I'm saying. To be Japanese, it takes more than just being born in Japan.
But if you have a Japanese passport, you're not.
To be considered Japanese, you have to have your parents to have been born in Japan, and I think even your grandparents, and only then can you actually call yourself Japanese.
So that's the thing. If you apply that standard, the Japanese standard, to the United Kingdom, you can't really do that because England itself isn't a country, Scotland itself isn't a country, Northern Ireland and Wales themselves aren't a country. The country is the United Kingdom in international law and in every way that matters. Currency, military, parliament, sovereign, what have you. That's what underpins the United Kingdom. And I would fail this nationality test, okay, because of my Welsh descent, my grandparents being from Wales and my grandparents being from Ireland. I'd fail this very narrow and specific definition of what it is to be English based on the Japanese model. This is the conundrum that we're going to try to square, and I've got an answer for it. So wait until the end of the video. I have an answer for it. It may not be to everyone's liking, but I have an answer.
Now you could apply that to Englishness and what I'm saying on Englishness. I think you actually need a couple of generations. Debate on how far back you go,
right?
Because so much mixing. But I think you have to go back a couple of generations before you can truly call yourself English, like the Japanese do. And there are many other countries around the world who take a stricter, more robust view of nationality. I don't think it's right to say, well, you were born here, you're all right to call yourself English. I think we need to take a less liberal perspective on.
Most definitely, completely agree with that.
Nationality, on culture, on identity. That's part of the problem. It leads into my general premise, which is that multiculturalism has failed. We've been a free-for-all. It's very good that we're a welcoming country. It's lovely that many people have come over centuries to Britain and made their home. But I do think we need to start saying, we need to be able to define what it is. What is our common culture? We have to be clear. And the actual fact that there's such a live debate about what it is to even be English, I think demonstrates the fact that we've taken too liberal a view about what it is to be in this country, and that's part of the problem, actually.
So we'll leave that one there. We'll leave that there. So Suella, she makes some interesting points, doesn't she? And broadly speaking, I agree. The English, the Welsh, the Scots and the Irish, they've all interbred and intermingled to such a degree in the United Kingdom that to pinpoint specific English person to say you're English and you're not, that would be an exercise in futility in my opinion. The only logical conclusion you can draw is remigration. Anyone post-1997 who emigrated to the United Kingdom, whether that's the EU or further afield, it's on the table that you're being deported. You've got to prove your worth, you've got to prove that you've assimilated, and you've got to prove that you're actually adding value to the country. You've got to repeal the 1948 British Nationality Act so it no longer applies, and you need to retrospectively go and look at people that have come over from the Commonwealth, former Empire nations. If they've committed a serious crime, anything over a year in prison, they've got to go home. Remember during the last Tory government when they tried to deport all those extreme criminals back to Jamaica and the lefty lawyers started running around with ECHR and you had the lefties and the Labour Party screaming racism and grounded the flight? All of those people needed to go back to Jamaica. It's as simple as anybody that perpetrated in the grooming gangs that are still going on to this day and started in the 1960s and 70s, anybody implicit or explicitly involved in that needs to be deported to the country of origin. Anybody with dual nationality needs to go under these terms. If you've not respected the British people, our institutions, our culture, the way that we do things, you need to go home. That's the only thing you can do. Anything post 1997 is on the table. You can't really drill down into the home nations to say, well, you're Scottish, you're English, you're Irish, you're Welsh. That's not going to get us anywhere. But you need to be very, very firm on this. Englishness is a thing. It's real. I'm not English. I am obviously British. Comment below. Let me know, do you think I'm on a point with this, or at least half a point, that the British Nationality Act 1948 needs to go? Anybody from the former empire who's committed serious offences and crimes needs to go. Anybody that's emigrated to the United Kingdom post 1997 needs to prove their worth, or they need to go as well. And anybody that's not paid into the system gets no bloody benefits. These are just my starting points. If there is more extreme policies that come forward, I'm not inclined to object. If you like this video, comment below, like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.